Hey, can you hear me, everybody?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I know you can't speak, but I can see the nodding of the head. So, hi, thanks for joining today. I am Krista. I actually represent Nearpod, but I live in Loyalsock. So, this is my hometown, IU, which is awesome. My kids go to Loyalsock School District. So, I'm happy to be able to share today what I find is an amazing resource for teachers, not only during a time like this, but also on a normal given school day where the teachers are actually in the classroom teaching live instruction in a brick and mortar building. So thank you for taking some time. I appreciate it. I'm not sure how much everyone is familiar with Nearpod, if you've ever heard of Nearpod, but at its core, it is an instructional platform and a lesson delivery tool. So what we do is we kind of combine the technology with the tool part and then the instruction, because Nearpod comes with a lesson library packed full of engaging content written in partnership with some amazing content publishers, which we'll see. So I like to start by just getting into the platform itself and just giving a very high level overview of what it is. Um, as you can see, I'm on my homepage of Nearpod. I'm a teacher in a school district. I have built my own lesson library where I have looked at the big Nearpod lesson library and downloaded some lessons on adjectives, on dividing by zero, on punctuation, on staying healthy, on the coronavirus outbreak. So these are things that I have browsed my lesson library in Nearpod and downloaded them and put them into my library. And then I can either create a live lesson, which we're going to do today, or we can do a student paced code, which obviously with what's going on today is extremely helpful due to the situation where the teachers aren't in the classroom anymore. So no matter if you want to share the lesson via an LMS, if you have a Google Classroom, or if you are lucky enough to maybe have like a Schoology or a Canvas, you can share out these lessons via an LMS, which makes it really super easy for the students to find the lessons that the teacher's asking them to participate in. And then also, and like what we're doing today with Zoom, you can use Nearpod in conjunction with a web conferencing tool, which is how I pretty much talk about Nearpod all day. I cover all of Pennsylvania and New York, so I've been on the phone quite heavily in the last several weeks, talking to districts about how Nearpod can be used in this environment, this web conferencing and Nearpod together, because typically schools are just in the front of the classroom, right? But it's super easy to do, and we're gonna experience it here in a moment. But as you can see, I can search the big lesson library, or I can go ahead and use one of my lessons that I've already created, or I can create from scratch. So if you have teachers that are familiar with Google Slides or a PDF, they could create their own lesson by importing or using the Nearpod add-on in Google Slides, and adding all these really fun, engaging moments, formative assessments, rich media into their otherwise more flat lessons. So that's another way. So there's really two big ways that you can incorporate Nearpod, by either using our lesson library or creating your own within Google Slides or right in Nearpod. So for today's exercise, because I know we're limited on time, is we're going to go through one of my lessons that I downloaded from my library. And I'm going to either give you a live lesson code, which is what we're going to do today, and that would be the normal situation in a normal classroom, because Nearpod is used for the most part in the classroom environment with a teacher leading the lesson. Or we can send out a student paced code. So in the live lesson, I can go ahead and share this, right? So I'm actually going to cancel out this because I was in this earlier. I'm going to do a new live lesson. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to share it with the code with you here in a moment. So you can see this is where the nice integration with an LMS comes into play. So I could push this right to Google Classroom, or I could simply grab the link and copy it, and I can put it in the chat feature. So if you are using a web conferencing tool like Zoom, I can just go down here into the chat feature and hit copy paste, and I'm going to share it with you all via the chat feature. So now all you have to do is click that, and it's going to open up another tab on your computer, and you're going to be accessing the actual live lesson that we're doing today. If you wanted just to go out to nearpod.com and put in this 5-digit code, you could do that as well. There's multiple different ways to access the code and get into the lesson. If you wanted to email it to your students, or you could use Remind 101. I know LawSoc uses Remind quite heavily. That might be another way to do it. Whenever I go out of the lesson, the code is always going to be up in the top left corner of the lesson. I'm going to get rid of this box. And Becky, I don't know if they can still use the chat feature and put questions in there or not. But
Yeah,
if somebody have, okay, please feel free to put a question in there if you're having trouble getting onto the lesson. If you need more time, I can see as the teacher, if you kind of navigate back and forth now from the Zoom view and then the actual live lesson, I can see that there's two people in the lesson. Becky and Aaron are both in the lesson. So this is my student roster. So we'll give it another minute for you all to be able to go out and access the lesson and put the code in. If the link from the Zoom did not work, just go out to nearpod.com, and in where it says enter a code, this is the code that you're going to want to enter. And I can bring that up large again by hitting the button. We'll give it another minute. Is anybody having trouble? Okay, you're having trouble. So let's see. If I show you, go out to nearpod.com. And right here, when this pulls up, you're going to put in join a lesson, and you're going to put in that code. It's IRUHD. So I'm just going to put in IRUHD and then hit my enter button. And then that's going to push me right into the lesson. And hit join lesson. You're going to have to put in your name. Mine pre-populates. Did that help? I see 4 of you now. So we have Amelia, Becky, Aaron, and myself. So actually there's 3 of you. One person's still having trouble. There we go. I see that you joined now. Okay, Jen. Is that you, Jen, the one that was having trouble? Okay, so we're all good. We're all in the lesson. So that is the way that you would, let me just check the chat here. Okay, perfect. I'm glad you got in. All right, so now the experience that you're doing, so you're doing a Zoom and you're doing a live Nearpod lesson. Now take out the whole Zoom part. Imagine this experience in a live classroom environment where the teacher's standing in the front of the classroom. You could be driving this lesson from your mobile device, right? So a lot of teachers or an iPad walking around the room. So you're no longer connected to the front of the classroom. You are now walking around the room, engaging with the students, assisting students who might have difficulty. Because the nice thing about Nearpod is you're going to get instant feedback on how the students are doing within this lesson. Okay. So as I flip my screen, your slides are going to advance. So I'm always in control of the lesson, the pace of the lesson. So this first interactive activity is called our Collaborate board. It is probably one of my most favorite and most featured examples of a formative assessment in Nearpod. So go ahead, and you can see on my screen, you're going to have to toggle back and forth a little bit from the Zoom to your actual student screen, but I can approve comments. So if you have a classroom of teenagers, it might be a wise idea to approve comments before they go live, right? Now we're adults, I'm not going to do that. You can post. Feel free to use the tools down here. The Google Safe Search is the blue button. And go ahead and type in your answer to this first question. So I'm gonna actually go out here to mine. I'm gonna use the Google Safe Search and put So you can see from my screen, right, what you're looking at on my screen, and the same with yours. You can't see any names, right? So this is driving a voice in a classroom for every student. Every student has a voice. From the teacher's perspective, right? So I can see who's saying what. And you would never want to share the teacher's screen in a live environment. If you wanted to hide the names and then share your screen, you could do that. So I just hid the names and then I could share out my screen, right? Or maybe in certain situations, you do want to have the names, right? It's just like everybody raising their hand in the classroom. I have a colleague that uses the analogy of you have your Pop-Tarts in the front of the classroom that always raise their hands and answer every question, or you have the crock pot sitting in the back that never want to be involved in a conversation. What this Collaborate board does is gives everybody a voice. It allows everybody to have a collaboration within the conversation. Let's see the question here.
It wasn't a question. I'm just telling you
Oh,
how
I see
that
it.
analogy.
It is a great analogy, isn't it? And it's really pretty much spot on. So its top challenges are access, internet access, engagement. How can we engage the students? Value, equity, and collaboration. So I think Nearpod can help with most all of these. The internet access part, not so much. I can give you an idea though. And I know, Becky, you and I talked about this. I have had some districts that I've spoken to that are very rural areas of Pennsylvania, as well as New York and Massachusetts, where they are taking, they're basically giving every student a Wi-Fi hotspot, or they're taking a school bus around with Wi-Fi and parking the school bus in a certain remote area to give them access. I know it's an issue. Unfortunately, I can't help with that, but as a resource to drive collaboration and engagement, I think the Collaborate board is a great example. So as you can see, I'm pacing the lesson, I'm continuing forward. You'll see, I just threw in a couple examples here of why Nearpod for distance learning. You're gonna be making thinking visible for all students with a wide variety of engaging moments like rich media, formative assessments. We'll throw in some vocabulary video, right? Supporting teachers of all grades and all subjects. So that nice lesson library I started off talking about, it is K to 12, spans all grades, all subjects. So if you are a 5th grade math teacher, you're gonna find something in there on, I don't know, subtraction or multiplication. Or if you're a 12th grade AP civics teacher, you're gonna find something in that library to help you drive your instruction forward during this time and past this time. And then obviously, how are we implementing this? Flexibility in learning right now is either through the self-paced lessons or what we're doing today with a live lesson paired with a web conferencing tool. So obviously the goal and the issue today that I've been talking to so many people about is meeting the students wherever they are, right? They're home, they're in their environment. How can we engage the students where they are today? Which is a little unique. So number one, the teacher will launch an interactive lesson with these dynamic media, the formative assessments, interacting with an LMS, maybe a Google Classroom. A lot of districts I've been talking to use Google Classroom, or maybe a Seesaw at the younger grades, via email, via a doc with a link. And then number two, the students will engage and interact with the technology, which is what you're doing right now, either with their peers and their teacher, or independently with the student-paced code. And then the teacher will get real-time feedback. So at the end of my lesson, I will be able to pull a report from the lesson on how the students are doing. How did the students answer the questions? You know, then it gives me a pulse on, okay, we're gonna need to maybe work on this one part of the lesson a little bit more than these other parts. So I get instant feedback, then I have that data to reflect back on how I want to change my lesson or change my next day of teaching. So what I did with this lesson is I just incorporated what is static electricity. This is a lesson from the library. It's in conjunction with PhET, which is from the University of Colorado, and their interactive simulations. Okay, so I took a lesson from our library and I just customized it. I took out a bunch of slides and I added a few other slides. That's another beautiful thing with Nearpod is when you have access to our library, you can customize it. It's a great starting point to build off of. We're going to forward here. Obviously, the goal here is to stay connected. Keep your classroom community connected with text and image-based responses. So this is a another Collaborate board I want you to participate in. I'm not going to approve the comments, but so this is an idea. What do you already know about slope and rate of change in mathematics? So I'm not going to test you on the knowledge. I don't even know how to answer that. But it gives you an idea that you can use a Collaborate board to test prior knowledge, right? And kind of get an idea of where are we at with the content that either you're supposed to know because we went over this 2 weeks ago, or it might be a prior, might be from last year. So this is a really good way to test the knowledge prior to you going forward within a lesson. And I'm just going to forward here, kind of keep this going, as you can tell. The next activity is bringing a real world example into the home. So using our VR field trip. We partner with 360 cities and offer access to 350,000 images. 33,000 of those are field trip based that you could search. I think this is a ski slope. I don't know. You guys can experience this. So this is talking about slope, I have a feeling. Yeah. So you can use this experience to take your students on a virtual field trip in conjunction with part of your lesson. And these are all part of Nearpod. You can find something that with 33,000 virtual field trips, there's something that you can find that would be useful for your lesson. And I'm going to continue to go pretty quickly here because I only have a couple more minutes. But so be there with your students even from a distance. Provide audio support on slides and assessments through voice recording options. So we have several ways that we can do this with our Microsoft Immersive Reader, or you can embed voice over top of any kind of directions. If you are working with younger students or special education students and you want to give them alternate sources and ways to access the content, we can help you there for sure. Our immersive reader is phenomenal. I'm not sure if Erin, if you used it in the classroom, it's relatively a new tool. It's a wonderful addition to Nearpod and it comes with the product. And then we have the embedding the different media into a lesson to make it more engaging. So reflecting back on that Collaborate board, one of the questions was, the problem was how to engage students. And then also the rigor of the content and the rigor of the learning, right? Because the students aren't in the classroom, the teachers aren't there to assist. How rigorous is the content? You'll see from some of our, and this is going to be an interactive FET interaction, where you can actually on your device, you can move the balloon around and talk about protons and neutrons here. So I can, as the teacher, and again, we're on a live, you're seeing my screen, but you also have access on your device to move that balloon around and see what's happening. Show no charges, right? So this is an interaction, again, a FET simulation for probably like an 8th or a 9th grade, 10th grade maybe, I'm not sure, science class. And that's just one example of one of the lessons, one of the activities in one of our pre-made lessons. So the next feature that you're going to see is, I'm just going to play it on, whoops. So the next one is a video, which is one of our vocabulary videos, which drives literacy across all subjects. So I want to pause here because I think what's important is so far we've gone through a Collaborate board, we've gone through simulations, and now we're at a video, but I have never left Nearpod. So you're not multi-tab teaching anymore. Everything is in this nice walled garden, I like to call it, of Nearpod. Because typically when you have students go out and watch a video, what happens? You lose them, right? They're gonna go off, they're gonna, their minds are gonna go elsewhere. They're gonna go navigating around YouTube looking for something else. This is all nicely tucked right inside of Nearpod. I'm not gonna play the video, but this is a pretty engaging video. It's one of our vocab videos. Anyway, just keep in mind, a lot of teachers multi-tab teach. You don't have to do that in Nearpod. Making learning more visible. So give students multiple ways to show what they know and make all students thinking visible. So again, that equity, driving multiple ways to show that the students understand what you're teaching them. So from a draw it to a question to a poll, here is our draw it function. So feel free if you want, take a minute and you can actually, I think this one has the immersive reader, the directions. You can hit the immersive reader and it'll give you the directions. It'll read the directions to you, and then you can just draw. And as you start drawing on it, I will see from a teacher's perspective who's starting to work on it. So I can see, if you look on my screen, there's a couple people in progress. I'm actually going to show names here. So Becky's in progress and Erin's in progress of drawing. I'm going to flip over to mine, and I can hit, this is the immersive reader button I was telling you about right here. This will read the directions to the student for them. And then I can take my pen and pick what color I want. So if I want white, and I can draw all over the screen. I can draw pluses for positive or negative neutrons. And then I can hit submit. And then once I hit submit, I'm going to flip back to my screen. It's going to come up here and say Krista Ray submitted. And what does mine look like? And Erin submitted. Jen's in progress. So this gives me an idea. So if this is a live session, a live teaching moment through a video conferencing, kids are engaged. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it's a fun activity. And again, every student learns a little differently. So you're trying to give them multiple different ways to understand the concept of protons and neutrons. Okay, I'm going to keep going here. The next one is a question, an open-ended question. So describe what it means for something to be positively charged using words, proton and electron in your response. I just wanted to share this as this is an example of an open-ended question. And again, you can record your audio as your answer if you wanted to, or you could type it in here. So I'm just gonna add gibberish. So I added mine. That's just an example of an open-ended question type of response. And then I can go ahead and share that response out to all of you. So I can hit the share button, and now on your screen, you're gonna see it says this is fun, right? And then I can unshare it. So always, the teacher's always in control of the pace of the lesson, right? And the goal here, obviously, I'm going through this fast. I want 100% participation over here. So in a normal class environment, you're going to want to wait. And this is sometimes hard for teachers to wait and pause and let the students reflect and think. A lot of type A people like myself, I get a little rushed. So it gives you time to pause and wait for those students to participate. And think about it back in the classroom where you're actually walking around and you're using your mobile device to drive this lesson. You can actually tap on their shoulder. Hey, Jen, why aren't you participating? I want to hear your response, that kind of thing. So we're going to go forward here. Oh, this is a really nice new integration that we just created last week. I think we rolled this out is with Flipgrid. So one of our ways of engaging, we've gone through a couple of these already, would be Flipgrid. So you can embed a Flipgrid right into a Nearpod lesson now. Gamify, so we have several pieces of gamification built into Nearpod. One would be a matching pairs and another would be our time to climb. And I think we have both of them built into this lesson. Yes, so this is a matching pairs game where feel free, I'm not testing you on the knowledge of protons and neutrons. I just want you to experience what a matching pairs looks like. You have 45 seconds. Actually, I think I have to start it. Yep, start. And you're gonna wanna click on the picture and match it up to the word. So picture to word, wrong. And then as a teacher, I'm gonna see real life, real time results of how the students are doing on that matching pairs. So I know maybe we need to go back over this again. They're not really getting the concepts, or maybe everybody got it in 3 tries. Great. Right? So this is that instant feedback. And then when this timer's done, we want to give all the kids an opportunity to participate. I can then view the pairs, show it on my screen, and we can have a conversation about it. So there's the right answers. At any time during a lesson, you can add an activity on the fly. So if you find that the students are struggling with protons and electrons, you may want to add in another type of web content, or open-ended question. Instead of going out and opening up another tab on the web, do it all right here with the Nearpod, because then it's part of your existing lesson. And then what we're going to do, I think we're going to end it, perfect timing, is with a time to climb. This is another type of it's a formative assessment, but yet a game. It's a fun game. Kids love it. I can, as a teacher, pick what theme we want to do, the Himalayas, space, or underwater. We'll do underwater. You're going to be tested on knowledge and time. So you want to go through the questions as fast as you can. So we'll give this a try, and then we'll wrap it up. So pick your person, and I'm going to hit the start button. We'll wait for everybody to get in. So you come over here and just pick whichever avatar you want. And I see everybody's pretty much connected. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the start button, and it's going to count down for you and read off the questions. So the questions are going to be obviously on the screen. So you have to click on the picture, and that will answer your question for you. Oh, I should not have won that. So you can see that's a fun activity, but you're also testing knowledge and gives them something to compete against one another. And we've actually just enhanced our time to climb, where you can actually do that in a student-paced code now. So our team is trying to ramp up and change our product to reflect what's happening in society today as fast as we can. So I know it's 1:30. I'm on time. Kind of. I have, obviously you can see down here 25 more slides I could talk about, but that's a good taste of what Nearpod can offer you guys.
Wonderful. Thanks, Krista. I'm going to stop recording.